thank you for being here, everyone. It's been a great night so far. I'm looking forward to our forum here. If our two candidates for District 16 would like to go ahead and come up and take their seats. The rules will be very similar to what they were last time. It'll be 2 minutes for an opening statement, 2 minutes to respond to questions, and 2 minutes for a closing statement. If one candidate is mentioned by the other, they also get 2 minutes to respond to that accusation. We don't have any written out questions tonight. We figured what we would do is just take questions from the audience. I'm also going to move out of the way here so you can see our candidates. But first we'd like to go with our opening segments, and what we'll do is we'll start with Mr. Brinyark and then go to Mr. Cox, and we'll alternate between who answers first on the questions. But Mr. Brinyark, you can make the opening statement.
I am Brinyark. I thank you so much for being out here tonight. I was somewhat worried that we would have a very, very small crowd tonight. I'm encouraged by the crowd that we do have. I know this isn't the same big forum like we had the first time or the second time in Barry, but I appreciate y'all coming out. I was really disheartened, to be quite honest, with the lack of turnout. Everybody had said it was going to be a low turnout. It's a special election. There's only, this one thing on the ballot. But I thought, as I was going around and as we were visiting with people, it just seemed like the people that I was meeting seemed to be very involved and engaged. But what I was seeing was people like you, and y'all are involved, y'all are engaged. But there's so many people that just don't seem to care. And I'm going to ask you to please encourage all your friends, all your family, to get out and vote in this. This is important. Somebody, either Brad or I, are going to be representing this district of Fayette, Northern Tuscaloosa, and West Jefferson County. We're going to need somebody in there that has the support of the people. And so that means the people need to come out and let us know who they want. I hope, and I'm asking you for your vote tonight. I am from this district. I've lived here all my life. I have raised 5 children in this district, and they've all now graduated from Northside High School in Tuscaloosa County and now gone through the University of Alabama. They're at a point that I can do this. I'm at a point in my career now. I'm an attorney for 30 years, mediator for 15, municipal judge for the last 23 years. I've got some life experience and some skills that I think can help this district. I'm running for this entire district. Fayette's the largest part of this district. And so don't ever think that I'm not going to be trying to help the folks in Fayette. I'm going to have, if I am lucky enough to get this, I'm going to have a special cell phone that's just for this. You can call me anytime. I've met so many of y'all now. Every time I come to Fayette, I'm seeing people. I know you by name. I know what you do. I know where you are. And I hope that just keeps on and on and on. But I look forward to trying to do things for this district and for Fayette and the people of Fayette. I've said it before, this whole district is very common. I'm very encouraged about what we are and who we are. We're very conservative. We choose to live where we live. We don't have a big city at all in this district. We want to be out like we are. We want to be in the country. We want to be in a small town because that's where we know we can raise our kids with the kind of values that we want them to have. We can do the things that we need to do for our kids. And I want to be a part of that. I want to help you. I want to be part of representing this district. I want to go to Montgomery. I want to bring back to this district all the funds that we can get to help our schools, to help our community. And I think that with the experience that I have, not only from life but from my career, I think I can really help you do that. I look forward to you voting in 2 weeks, 2 weeks from today, October 24th. It's not in November like a lot of people keep asking me when it's going to be. If you didn't vote last time, you can still vote this time. October 24th, please go to the polls, and I ask you to vote for Brian Brinyark. Thank you very much.
I forgot to hit the timer, so you got to leave.
Oh, okay.
I was waiting on your stop.
Well, good evening. Brad Cox, candidate for House District 16. Certainly is a pleasure to be here tonight. It's always good to be in a room of like-minded individuals, and it's a pleasure to be here tonight. I want to thank you all for your participation. If you're here, obviously this election is important to you. And we are humbled, going into this, I thought it would just be Mr. Brinyark and myself, and he and I spoke early on, and then there were several more candidates, and we ended up being the top vote getter in this race, and we are humbled by that. With 6 candidates, we want to keep that momentum going. I would consider our campaign very grassroots. We've knocked on doors, we've been to businesses, we've been on farms, and we've tried to get out and meet voters where they're at. And, we hear a lot of issues as we talk to constituents and potential voters, and really I think our campaign message has resonated with those people well. Common sense, Christian, conservative, Republican. And, a lot of people run as those things, but once they get in office, they don't govern that way. And I've not made any campaign promises as I've traveled. The only promises I've made and what I'll stand by is, I'll be accessible, I'll be professional, I'll be a man of integrity, and those are the only things I can promise you. I do have a unique, I believe, professional and personal experience as a school teacher, as a banker for the last couple of years, that I think, and as a county commissioner, currently a county commissioner here, I think those professional experiences will lend well to working in the legislature. But I count it a privilege to be here tonight. I look forward to answering your questions, whatever they may be, and I hope if I have not got your vote, if I didn't get your vote on September the 26th, I would love to earn that tonight or in the days to come. If you did vote for us, of course, thank you from the bottom of our heart. I look forward to serving in this, serving in this role, and thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for having me.
With that, we can get into our audience questions. So if you would like to, by just show of hands, and I'll just pick people sort of randomly. So.
We have a general election coming up January 9th against a Democrat who lives here. And the immediate thought is it wouldn't be much to worry about. But, Alabama lost to Louisiana Monroe a few years ago. And so it can happen. We need to support the nominee. Number one, will both of you commit to support the nominee even if it's not you? And number two, will you come to, if you win this runoff, will you come to our December meeting? That'll be the last meeting before the election.
Right.
Yes, I will obviously be at the meeting, and kind of along the lines of Ronald Reagan, you always support the party, right? I will support whoever the Republican nominee for this position is, whether it's me or Mr. Brinyark. We definitely don't need to back up.
I'll definitely support the nominee from the Republican Party. I think the Republicans need to be represented. This district needs to be represented by a Republican. And I think when they drew this district, back before Kyle got it the first time, when Daniel Bowman was in it, it was said to be the most Republican district in the whole state at that time. Now, it's changed a little bit since then, but I still think it's highly Republican. But here's the difference, y'all. The Democrats only got to get people to turn out one time. We've had to ask you last time. We're asking you again tonight to show up next time. And then after everybody's forgotten about it and they've gone through Christmas, we got to get you to come back again the first or second week in January. Y'all, all the Democrats have to do is get lucky one time. They got to get their people rallied one time, show up, and this could be a stunner. So I need y'all's commitment that y'all will represent and go to the polls for whoever gets this election. We need it to be a Republican. We need it to be somebody that's going to go down there and truly represent the values of this district. And we deserve that, and we don't need to get lazy. We can't, I know we're asking you to come up 3 times, but we got to have you 3 times, or it's going to be a stunner and a shocker. And don't let that happen. Make sure you take yourself and 80 of your closest friends with you.
December meeting.
December meeting, absolutely. I'll be here.
More questions?
I'm having trouble phrasing this question. I'm going to Gail Kais Bankston. What makes each of you different from the other, whether it be qualifications, education, experience? Why should we vote for you more than your opponent?
Well, thank you. And let me say this. Brad and I have respected each other throughout this, and I continue to do that tonight. I think that the biggest thing the biggest difference between us would be, I think, just my experience in life and in my career. I kind of mentioned it in my introduction. I've been a lawyer for 30 years. As a legislator, we're writing laws. That's kind of what I do. I operate within the laws that have been written. As a judge, I enforce the law. I've been a judge for 23 years. I enforce the law that are on the books. So I'm familiar with that. I think life itself gives you experience. This gray in my beard doesn't just happen overnight. Raising 5 kids to adulthood teaches you things. Going through life, worrying about a mortgage, worrying about whatever, it teaches you things. And as you learn a little bit, you learn from mistakes, but I think that gives me a skill set. Again, I'll throw in mediator for 15 years. And if y'all have never been through a mediation is where two sides that are in litigation. In my situations, it's always domestic relation stuff, and Judge Nolan would know this. I've had several cases that I've done for cases that are in his courtroom. But people come in and they're at polar opposites. And I work to get them to come to a resolution. And in over 90% of the cases that come to me for mediation, we were able to find that way to bring it to a resolution. Down in Montgomery, we're going to have people that are apart. And I've got to, people are going to have to bring them together. And I would like to be a part of helping them come together and finding consensus and voting on bills that help this district and help Alabama. And I think I can do that.
Well, I think that's a great question, and when you talk about qualifications, and I'll echo what Mr. Brinyark said, we actually have some similarities. We've talked a lot over the course of the campaign and been cordial, so certainly not going to take any shots at Mr. Brinyark tonight, but I'm not 55 or so. I don't know how old you are. I was close. I'm 33 years old, and I've had a pretty unique experience professionally. I was a teacher for about seven and a half years. I worked for the Farmers Federation in Montgomery, working on primarily agricultural type bills and legislation. The last couple of years, I've been a land, ag, and business development officer there at Alabama One Credit Union. So I think I have, although I'm young, I have a unique professional experience. And I think I'm a pretty common representative of the people of this district. I'm a young guy, I've got a wife and son at home. I grew up pretty hard, grew up pretty rough and tumble, and kind of was adopted and overcame a lot of obstacles there. And I think that I'm able to relate to the people of this district, the average, everyday House District 16 person. The person that's down at the grocery store and they're complaining because, my gosh, I can tote out $200 worth of groceries in my hands. Or the person that's moving around the bills at the end of the month to try to make that mortgage payment or whatever it may be. I think that my experience in Montgomery, experience as a banker and as a teacher, we both talk about experience. I think we just have experience in different areas. But I think I can go to Montgomery. I think I can represent this district well. I think I have a network of individuals all across this state that I've worked to build over the last 10 or 12 years that will end well. And, I'm not looking for a retirement gig. I'm not looking to go down there and just hang out, and certainly not to say Mr. Brinyark would, but a lot of them do. I'm looking to go down there and get to work, get there early and stay late, and get what needs done for District 16 done. And I think if you talk to anybody, they'll tell you I'm a hard worker. Yes, sir.
More questions? Some of you have questions.
I have a question.
Ms. Robinson.
In your ad in the Times-Record this past week, you referenced the mudslinging had started. Can you explain that comment?
I tell you what, I've addressed some of it with Mr. Killian tonight and some of the others tonight. It stopped very quickly. It was just questions and things being asked that seemed very pointed and that were untrue. And I think that all got quieted very quickly. And I think this campaign has been very clean, and I reference that. This whole time, all 6 of us were very respectful of each other because that's the way we are in this district. We are good people. We're not looking for a cheap shot or whatever. So when things started getting asked or spread or whatever, and it started coming to me, I talked, I decided that I needed to do something to quiet that down, and it's gone quiet. And we're all good. Everybody's good. I don't know where it came from. We're good. And that's the way we need to be. This district is deserving of a clean race. We're going to have a clean race. Brad is committed to that. I'm committed to that. All the other four that are no longer with us, Floyd was always good. I mean, it's been good. Because you all deserve that. This doesn't have to be something that's like that. We're good people, and we want to run a good race. So I'd rather not get into that. Thank you.
Well, are you gonna say something else in the paper that,
No, ma'am, it's quiet.
I mean, because you've thrown it out there now, and it looks like something was going on, and once it's out there, it's out there. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Well, it got quieted down, and I hadn't heard any more, and it's all good. So I'm not running anything else in any papers or saying anything else about it. It's all good. We've actually dealt with some of it tonight between some of us that are here, and I think we're in a good place. So I look forward to going forward. Thank you.
You call my name, and I want it clear that I wasn't part of any Smiths.
I don't know that I called your name, but you
Just a
weren't.
few minutes ago, you called my name.
Okay.
I'll clear it up. It was brought to my attention that a person out of Jefferson County, the GOP chairman, had called Mr. Killian. Mr. Killian had told me some things. I had wanted to hear this from Chris Brown, the Jefferson County chairman, to hear what he had been saying about Brinyark. So I'm the one who brought it to Brinyark because I wanted to see if these statements were true. If not, that Chris Brown never got back with me. I had called him, left him a voicemail. John said he would give me a call back. It never happened. So therefore, it was dropped after that because Chris Brown never brought any of it to my attention. So that's where it all came from.
But y'all, it's quiet now, and it's going to stay that way, and we're all good. I look forward to representing the folks in Fayette, and it's going to be that way. If I am honored by having your vote, you can count on me being a straight shooter in Montgomery, and we can go forward representing this district. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't, Mr. Brinyark and I shook hands back, I guess, in June or July at the Tuscaloosa GOP meeting, and we said, hey, we're going to keep it clean, and I want the record to reflect, and the discussion tonight has brought some clarity for me, because I too did see the ad, but our campaign is committed to running a professional campaign, to running a campaign that is not slinging mud, not talking poorly about each other. People hate retail politics because of that, and we're committed to running a clean campaign, and we'll do so for the next 14 days. So I just want the record to reflect that, any of that is there's been no mudslinging for my campaign or anyone that's working for me.
More questions?
45% or more senior citizens over 60 do not commute with technology. Can you communicate with senior citizens without technology?
Whose turn? I think that last was mine.
Yes, ma'am. I think that I'm 33. I'm fairly young, but I'm probably the most technologically inept 33-year-old that you'll meet. I guess I would consider myself old-fashioned, but I don't have a problem communicating. I can show you after the meeting is over here on this app how many doors I've knocked on, and it's literally in the thousands at this point that we've knocked on and communicated face-to-face. I think that's a lost art, but this district, House District 16, a lot of elderly people in this district. I've knocked on a lot of doors, with most of which had gray hair. So yes, ma'am, I don't have any problem communicating with the elderly, and quite frankly prefer to sit down and maybe drink a cup of coffee, talk to you face-to-face, than sending you an Instagram message or whatever. So yes, ma'am, I'm capable of doing that.
Yes, ma'am, I can communicate with people in advanced age. My parents are both in their mid-80s. I talk to them every day, and I know how to communicate with them. They don't text. They don't like that. I like to call them and talk to them. If you ever need me, you call them, and you'll have it. I also am insisting on ads in Fayette going out in the newspaper. My campaign has fought me tooth and nail about that because they say that's not the way that it's done anymore. But I've heard that it's still important here, and so I'm making sure that we do that here. Do you get the paper? Do you look at the paper still? Okay. Well, that's what I've heard. So we are still trying to communicate with you, even though Some people try to say that that's not important anymore. We know it is, I know it is, and so we're making sure that's happening. But yes, ma'am, I will always be available to talk to you face to face, or you call me and we'll talk.
That was a problem, none of the next one.
More questions?
All right, your stance on the Second Amendment particularly, and are you going to be willing to work with Tracy Estes out of Marion County, who's mayor in Lamar County, and the others that are working with our Second Amendment rights group, Bama?
Grady, thank you for asking. You know that I've been at your event, your meetings a couple of times, and I'm a staunch Second Amendment advocate. I've been a hunter all my life. I'm an avid shooter. I'm a competitive shooter. I shoot sporting clays. I shoot long range. I've shot 2 gun tournaments, matches. I have probably more guns than most people think I ought to, but I enjoy that, and it's always been something. If you say some people have a single issue, they'll vote on a single issue. That is always a red flag for me. If somebody's not supporting the Second Amendment, I can't support them. And for me, if you're for the Second Amendment, that means you're conservative, you believe in the Constitution, you are going to follow what the Constitution says, and so that tells me a lot about somebody. If they back the Second Amendment, that means a lot of other things in their life probably fall in line with me as well. And I'm a lifetime member of the NRA. I'm AQ certified, or not certified by the NRA. I've gotten their endorsement, whatever their qualification is. AQ rated, that's what it is, with the NRA. I was an EBC with the NRA for the Alabama 6th Congressional District back when we were in the 6th Congressional District for about 8 years. I'm the chairman of the board for Tuscaloosa Shooting Sports, which is our biggest and local range there in Tuscaloosa. I'm the vice president of Tuscaloosa Ski Club. I mean, I can go on and on. I love shooting. I believe in our Constitution. I believe in the Second Amendment, and I'm going to always support the things that are vital to the Second Amendment. I'm also a certified range safety officer for the NRA. I forgot to say that. So I've had that commitment for years, and not because I was ever expected to run for something. It's because that's who I am. I'm in 2 different hunting clubs. Deer season starts next week with bow.
Grady, I appreciate the question. I think if you look at events going on around the world right now, and even events here domestically, the Second Amendment has never been more pertinent and been more real than it needs to be right now. Certainly the framers of the Constitution didn't write the Second Amendment for hunting and sporting. They wrote the Second Amendment to protect you from a tyrannical, overbearing federal government, to protect your home and your property. I too have received the rating from the NRA, the AQ rating, and have a gun in the car, one by the bedside, and have a vault full of them in my office. Like Mr. Brinyark, grew up hunting, and those are some of the best memories I have of my grandparents and my dad learning how to shoot. I think that amendment to the U.S. Constitution, the Second Amendment, is there for a reason, and I'll commit to you and to anybody else, I will not vote for any legislation that would hamper your ability to own, purchase firearms, to purchase ammunition. And I think it's important that you vote for a candidate that will commit to those things. When you have an overbearing federal government, you've got to elect officials at the state level and even the county level that will not enforce unconstitutional mandate or unconstitutional law. But absolutely supporter of the Second Amendment and all that entails.
More questions?
There's a saying that says, whoever controls your money controls you. Do you mind telling us who's your biggest backers? Where you get most of your money from? The bulk of it.
So I don't know on the last campaign finance report, I don't know how many individual campaign contributions I have, but it's 20 or 30, so most of which are individuals, Some as low as $20, some $1,000 or better. I would say my top 3 contributors, and Mr. Brinyark and I have got we've actually gotten money from some of the same folks, and he's lobbied some, I've lobbied some, he's been successful with some, I've been successful with some, but my top three would be in-kind contributions would be the Alabama Farmers Federation, would be the Alabama Education Association, and would be the Credit Union, League of Credit Unions, and obviously the Credit Union League, that's who I work for. That's logical, they're going to support me, and I'm appreciative of that. The Teachers Association, Teachers Union, former classroom teacher, they are the largest contributor to Republican candidates in the state of Alabama. I think that's logical for them to support a teacher. And then the Farmers Federation, I worked for them for 3 years. I sit on our county board, former ag teacher, hobby farm a little now, raise some show lambs and stuff like that. So those are my top three, Farmers Federation, AEA, and the Credit Union League. Two of those, Farmers Federation, AEA, if you think about the largest two employers in Fayette County, it's the Board of Education, and the largest gross receipts brought into this county are from ag and forestry. I've also been endorsed by the Alabama Forestry Association as well. So, I want to go to Montgomery to help people. I think having networking with those individuals and working on issues, no legislator can know everything about every subject. And every legislature in the state of Alabama leans on these different organizations for specifics on certain bills related to whatever their genre may be. So, I'm going to Montgomery to help this district, and I think that those contributions from those top three organizations that you asked about, I look forward to working with them to grow this district, to grow jobs in this district, and to bring back, more funding for District 16.
I'm not aware of the most current financial data, but I know that going into the primary, I was over 62% funded by individuals. If you look, it's public. Y'all can go on the Secretary of State's website. It's there for everybody to see. We have to do disclosures. Originally it was monthly, then it became weekly as you get closer to the election. So you can look at each one of these reports, and you're going to see that at least up to the time of the primary, I was 62% with people giving me $25, $50, $1,000 sometimes, maybe $1,500, but for large part, $200, $100, $250. And those are individuals. So my largest contributor is District 16, the people of the district. Now, I'm learning, this is the first time I've ever run for anything, and I'm learning that once you get in the runoff, suddenly funds start becoming available to you from Montgomery that were formerly not. And when you only have 4 weeks, I'm not going to turn down money from these PACs that are choosing to endorse me. The Business Council of Alabama just endorsed me, and I'm glad to have them. That's great. But, I'm beholden to the district and to the people of the district. I'm humbled and just honored to have had so many individuals give me money. Give the money to the campaign. They're not giving me money. They're giving money to the campaign. That shows me that they believe in me, that they are open for me. And these are people that aren't wealthy. These are people that are choosing to do that out of their monthly budget. And I'm truly humbled by that. I've been fortunate enough to give to a few people in their past to their campaigns because I believed in them. And I knew what it took for me to be able to do that. And for people to do that for me is just incredible. And I hope to honorably serve them in Montgomery if I'm able to get there. And I'm pleased to be primarily funded by the district itself, the district that I'm hoping to represent.
More questions?
You guys just brought up something, so I'm going to try to word it the best I can. You just popped something in my head. You said you're funded by AEA. AEA can technically lean more liberal, in my opinion. I'm a teacher. I don't support AEA. I go for ACOE. They're an independently run organization. So with that being said, would you feel, since they've donated a large amount to you, would you feel tied in, or would you feel led to kind of follow their path, in a sense? And then you kind of said BCA, which has me a little worried because they've got Katie Brick, who I was not a huge fan of. They're part of Richard Shelby. Same thing with you. Would you feel led to, or be led by them just because they contributed, so I don't know who else.
Yeah, I think that's a fair question, and I've had conversations, again, most of my contributors, as well as Mr. Brinyark brought out, most of our contributors are individuals. We've both taken PAC money, and I'm not going to shy away from that. You probably look, you're very politically involved. I taught for 7.5 or so years, and I was a member of AEA the first year I taught because I was hoodwinked into becoming a member. And I had this exact same conversation with their legislative director, if you want to call them and verify it. And I told them, I said, look, I wasn't a member after my first year teaching. I thought that, Dr. Mabry, when he came in AEA, I thought he crashed and spent $20 million of teachers' dues. What I have seen, and I'm not, some political pundit, but I have always been around politics and kept up with politics. AEA is the largest contributor to Republicans in the state of Alabama. The Alabama Education Association, if you look at their voting record the last year or two, and I did before I accepted their contribution, they lean very much more right than the national organization. But to answer your question, the conversations I've had with any organization, PAC, business that has been gracious enough to put their faith in me, I'm not beholden to them. What I've told them is I'll have an open door. You would be surprised to know how much it costs to fund an open seat, and it really was shocking to me. So we have had to raise money, both from all types of revenue sources, but I'm not going to be beholden to anybody, any organization that I've taken money from.
I'll echo that in part. I mean, I'm honored to have any endorsement, any organization that believes in me and has liked my message. That's good, because I am who I am. And if they are endorsing me and they're saying that they will support me, then they like who I am. And I'm not going to change who I am for them. I am amazed at how expensive it is, as Brad said, to run for an open seat. I never would have believed it, and with the turnout the way that it was, I promise you it would have been easier to somehow give everybody $300 to promise to show up for the vote. It would have been hardly cheaper than what this has been. And we can't control that. We have to do what we have to do to try to reach people, and then it's up to the people to turn out and vote. But, in large part, I'm unaware of exactly everybody that's given me money. I mean, I'm honored to have gotten support from all over. When I was going back and looking at the individuals from the different meet and greets that we had, and the individuals that dropped checks in there, I was, again, humbled by the people that supported me and that gave generously. And I'm going to try to honor their support and represent the district very well if I'm able to get down there. So I think those of you in here, some of you in here have given to my campaign, and I thank you for that very much. And I look forward to representing you and honoring that gift.
More questions?
Would you support an effort to repeal Common Core in our state school curriculum?
Whose turn is it?
Sure.
Common Core is ridiculous. I don't think that needs to be. That's the influence from the federal government. Our federal government was never supposed to have a Department of Education. That was supposed to be local. But because they hold out money, and the states take it and they become dependent on it, then they can dictate to the states what they have to do. Y'all, that's wrong. We don't need to do that. We need to find a way of funding our own schools with our own Department of Education in the state of Alabama. We don't need to have our loyalty being to the federal Department of Education, because the federal Department of Education is extremely liberal and they have an agenda and they're pushing it on the states. And, so to answer your question, would I be supportive of getting rid of core? Absolutely.
Well, and that's the easy question for a former educator. You look at the U.S. Department of Education, late 1970s, it's founded. From that day forward until the current day, our educational rankings have dropped consistently, and that's data you can look up. I did a master's level paper on it when I was in college, but when you think about rights delegated to the states, no one knows what Fayette County or Jefferson or Tuscaloosa County needs more than the local school boards do. Curriculum choices, things of that nature, this seems like an overly simplified answer, but we sent a man to the moon in the 1960s doing reading, writing, and arithmetic. And my son is in 2nd grade now at Fayette Elementary, and they don't even get a list of spelling words to study anymore. Isn't that insane? Some of the reading techniques, some of the things, it's just insanity to me that we're trying to reinvent the wheel. We talk oftentimes in Alabama about how low we are in the national rankings. Well, you take out a few counties that are controlled by Democrats, and Alabama's rankings shoot up to about middle of the pack. This district has great schools. Northside, Oak Grove, Fayetteville, Hubbardville, and there's probably some I'm leaving out. I'm just firing them off. They all have good grades on their state report card because they have good local community support. And I think education decisions should be entrusted at the state level and even more so down on the county level. So to make a lot of rambling, I'm very passionate about it, Dr. Killian. I would love to get rid of Common Core. I'd love to see our state board of education select our standards. I've had the opportunity in the past to serve on some of those for agriculture education, where we did the standards and different things like that. And it was a really good experience for me. So absolutely would love to delegate that power back down to the state level.
Any more questions?
All right. If it comes up for the people to be able to vote for a lottery in this state, will you vote will you say yes, let's let the people decide?
And I've had this conversation all throughout the district. When it comes to gambling, it's a social issue, it's an economic issue for some people. When it comes to gambling, it's a hot topic. I had 3 conversations yesterday when I was knocking on doors, the very same question that you asked. And I've committed to be transparent in this race. And I'm not going to tell you something on the campaign trail and then go down to Montgomery and do something different. Grady, I will not vote to allow that to go to a vote of the people. And I want to tell you why. Because every time these bills get introduced, or at least historically, I don't know that there's no bills on the desk now of the clerk, but they don't just allow for a lottery. They allow for full-scale casino gambling on the Indian reservations, or they allow for this, that, and the other. It's been said, you ought to let it go to the vote of the people. There are some things that I'm going to vote my conscience and my beliefs on every time. Gambling is one of those, and if that costs me a vote, that costs me a vote. But I want to be 100% transparent. I don't support casino gambling. I don't support a lottery. They're not steady revenue streams. People say, well, we're losing money to Mississippi and Georgia and so forth. We may be losing money, but we're saving money by not having to hire additional police, additional counseling services. I have really studied this out. I would encourage you to look at the University of Arkansas study on this. But I just, morally, I cannot support that, and I just want to be upfront with everybody.
As a Christian, I'm against gambling, and I've said this. This has been a question that's been asked several times, going all the way back to the first West Alabama Assembly when I first met you, Dr. Killian. But as a Christian, I'm against gambling, and I don't gamble. I've never bought a lotto ticket or a lottery ticket or whatever, scratch-offs or whatever it is when you go to Florida. And if it's ever brought to a vote, my vote's going to be no. But I'm not running to be a dictator. I'm running to be the representative of this district. And I think that the people ought to have the right to vote. I'm for freedom. I'm for the people to have the freedom to vote. And if that vote is ever had, my vote's going to be no. But the people ought to be the ones deciding that. And I've heard it again and again and again since this first came up at that first meeting that we had, Dr. Killian, and after the first forum that we had here in the Civic Center. I had people come up from the audience and said, that's exactly the way I feel. I want to vote on it. I don't know if Alabama's ready for it. I don't know if Alabama voted in. Maybe they would resoundingly vote it away. And that put it to bed for a while. But I do think that the people of this state deserve the right to vote. I should not tell them what they are going to do or not do. I do that a little bit as a judge. I tell them what people have to do. I rule on things and decide it myself and tell them. But I'm running to be your representative. That means I'm representative of your thoughts and your feelings and your wants and desires. And if that's something that Alabama decides and this district decides that they want, well, then that's your choice. But my vote on that, if it was ever brought to a vote, would be no.
All right, let me ask you this question.
That's,
Have you ever bought a chance for, say, a gun to be given away, or a pumpkin, or a chicken, whatever? Have you ever bought a chance? It's the same thing.
my turn? No. For a gun, yes. I'll have bought raffle tickets for guns. But, people have, at the bank where my office is in the top of a bank, they have the, whatever it is for the football games, where they have the sheets and they have the chances and all that stuff. You can pay $20, you get a box, and you get a square, whatever. I don't do that. I've never done that. But it's just, that's just not me. I work hard for my money. I don't want to just give it away, so.
Obviously, probably everybody in the room, I do disagree with your rationalization. And again, if it costs me a vote, it costs me a vote. But, I think me spending $5 to support the 4-H club is a little bit different than, me spending $200 or $300 at the casino that I need to pay my mortgage with. I do travel a lot with my job, and, I go to Greene County where the dog tracks are, and I don't see any improvement. I was over in Clarksdale, Mississippi not long ago, and drove through several places through Philadelphia, and what I did see were, prostitution and drug use. I saw people sitting out there begging for money. I think gambling brings an entire culture that I don't want. And I'll say this, kind of along the same lines. Growing up how I grew up, and in a pretty rough and tumble family, a lot of addiction issues and things of that nature. I just don't want to bring it on. I don't want the influence. The preeminent thing is the influence of gaming interests. If you think that, this organization that supported me or Mr. Brinyark has influence, the gambling lobby has a license to print money, and they will influence every bill, every piece of legislation that comes across the desk. I just don't like the influence that they'll have if we make that legal in this state, and that's why I can't support it. But yes, I bought a lot of raffle tickets in my life.
Well, I didn't even bring up casinos. I'm just asking for.
Sure.
I'm just asking the lottery. The Creek Indians have already got their casino. Leave them be. I've got Creek blood in Cherokee, and let them be. Hey, if I can get my share, if I can prove my deal, I'd be down there trying to say, hey, where's my share? I can't prove it, but I'm just asking for the lottery.
Sure.
Let the people vote. Let's see what the people say.
More questions? Well, if we don't have any more questions, we're about out of time. We can do our closing statements, and since Mr. Brennan, you did your opening first, we'll have Brad do his closing.
All right. Well, thank you guys for being here tonight. A lot of great questions. This is, democracy in action. People coming out, asking candidates. I love this. I appreciate the opportunity to stand before you. Anybody that puts their name on a ballot, I appreciate, because your family, your life, your finances, everything you've ever done comes to light. And we've seen that in all these elections, this election and many others. But again, I want to start out like I ended. We started out this race working hard, a grassroots effort to get out and reach voters in these 3 counties. We've knocked doors, we've been to businesses. I can't tell you how many fish fries I've been to over the last 2 or 3 months, but we've been out and we've been busy meeting voters where they're at. Our platform is simple. I want to reiterate what I said when we started. Common sense, conservative, Christian, Republican values. And when you want to talk about something, when you go out and talk with voters, that message has resonated. That's who I am. That's how I believe. That's how I'll govern once I get to Montgomery, if I'm lucky enough to have your vote and to win this election in 2 short weeks. I'm not promising you anything tonight. I'm a county commissioner. I was appointed and then I ran. And as I went out in the county and I talked to people, I told them these 3 things. I'll represent you in a professional manner. I'll be transparent. I'll have integrity, and I'll be accessible. I've lived up to those things, and I'll do that if I'm elected and get to go to Montgomery. Again, if I was privileged enough to get your vote on the 26th, Thank you. If I was not, I would love to have the opportunity to earn your vote. Mark your calendars, October 24th, that's my birthday. October 24th, and come out to the polls and vote. I would appreciate your vote for Brad Cox, District 16. Thank you. I'll be around as long as I need to be after this is over to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Again, I'm Brinyark, and I want to thank you again sincerely for being here tonight. I love the fact that y'all have this much interest to come out on a Tuesday night and listen to us drone on and on about some of this stuff. But it's important. It's important. It should be more important to more people, but at least it's important to you, and I thank you for that. This has been hard, and Floyd and Brad can tell you, and the other guys that were doing this, it's harder than anything I've ever thought about doing. And it's forced me out of my comfort zone. It's forced me to get out in front of people. And, you know, I may have given you a push card at some point and introduced myself. That's not my normal self. It has forced me to get out there, but it's important for me to get out there. I do think that I can help. I'm at a point in my career, a point in my life, that I had no reason when this spot came open and people started calling. With my kids grown and out of the house and my firm and career in the place that it's in, I just didn't have any real excuse not to say, you know what, I'll do that. Because I do think that I have the ability, I have some special skills, and I have the knowledge and perhaps education to go down and represent you all. And I have professional relationships and have had these people as friends for years. Ron Bolton and I have worked together on a couple of different boards for years and have been friends for years. We've eaten lunch together for years. He's our representative that does Pickens and part of Northport. You know, Cynthia Allman out of Tuscaloosa, the lawyer there in Tuscaloosa. I've known her for years, worked with her for years. You know, Chris England, it was my prosecutor in the city of Tuscaloosa when I sit as a judge. He's down there as a Democrat. He's a legislator. Bill Lamb worked in the courthouse. I've known him for 30 years and worked with him before. And, you know, these are people that automatically, day one, if I have an issue, if I have a need for this district, it's times 4, maybe even 5, if I can get Chris to come along. You know, these are people that I can't imagine wouldn't have the same desire to help District 16. And these are people that I know and that I'm friends with, and thank you. Thank you all. Look forward to